everyone else. And that leads us back to the current time, where Deadpool is basically doing the exact same thing, except now he's shooting at a monkey. Deadpool asks Hitmonkey, "Do you even know why you're fighting? Hell, this probably isn't even your idea. It's that guy's, isn't it?" Hitmonkey grunts as he looks over and sees a man standing in a suit, and Deadpool says, "That guy over there, yeah, you could see him. I could see all kinds of wacky crap. Call it a gift or a mental defect, whichever is fine. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that bad things happened. Something really bad happened. Something hit so hard that it knocked everything out of that head. And that's when he showed up, right? To guide you? Two things I've learned from my experience. First, having a sense of direction isn't the same as being lost. And two, he's not real." Hitmonkey takes off his glasses and stares at the man as he fades away. He then rips off his tie with a loud "Hey!" And Deadpool yells, "Chill, homie!" As Hitmonkey screams and swings away. Deadpool thinks, holy crap, maybe the past is behind him now. Meanwhile, back in DC, Agent Kemp tells the board that she thanks them for giving her the chance to be a part of something that many people have only dreamed of. Though her time spent here has filled her with pride and honor, she must move on to the next chapter of her life, something that involves personal matters. 2 days later, those personal matters become apparent when she's quite obviously working on the death of Deadpool. It's just that this time, Agent Kemp has some outside help in the form of T-Ray and Slayback. But while this is being set up, weeks pass, and Deadpool begins to have the sudden realization while in the bathroom that it's been 2 weeks and he still looks all burned. The only good thing about his weird power situation is that his pinky apparently grew back. But hey, luckily he's still not dead, right? Back with Agent Kemp on her flying helicarrier, she tells T-Ray and Slayback that she has spent a lot of money upgrading and resurrecting both of them. For now, she'll test those
There we go. Got the stream going on my phone. Okay. I can see the chat. Not that there's anyone watching, but fuck it. Let's go.
by showing what can be done.
I need to get closer. I can't cast that yet. I need more mana. That spell isn't ready yet. It's too far away.
Three stamps pretty good. Two spirits also pretty good. Have to see a bit, I guess.
I'm out of range. It's too far away. I need to get closer. I'm out of range. I need to get closer. It's too far away. out of range. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. I need to get closer.
Let's go this way, actually. We have to think Red Ridge. Ah, no, the Red Ridge kills some mongrels. Think probably want a 3 stamina more than a 2 spirit. It's pretty big, 30 health. Not really having much in the way of modding issues. Let's see, bunch of stuff to sell. Keep this. Need to start using these. It's becoming kind of an irrelevant amount of damage.
Against a training simulation of Deadpool. T-Ray shouts, "We don't need no stupid training. We got all the training we needed on the job. We already know how to deal with that punk Deadpool." Agent Kemp says, "Right. Well, that punk wiped the floor with both of you on every occasion. I'm the one who knows everything about Deadpool. I'm the one who spent over a decade studying every move that he's ever made. I'm also the one who made the training program. I've brought you back to life, so be assured that I can and will reverse that process if necessary." A short while later, inside of the training room, the simulation begins, and as Deadpool stands at the stage of a circle, he yells, "Welcome to the greatest show on Earth." Deadpool jumps down shouting, "Oh, bang, 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 I'm banging you, silly!" Slayback gets ready to charge him, but before he does, the simulation Deadpool throws out 2 small grenades, knocking the 2 of them to the ground. As the smoke begins to clear, Deadpool calls out to Agent Kemp, asking if she would turn up the difficulty on these 2, because this is as easy as it's going to get. T-Ray jumps up, grabbing Deadpool, telling him that he should have never closed the distance. "Your ass is mine!" Deadpool drops some gas bombs, asking, "Your gas is mine? Okie dokie." As the simulation Deadpool continues to beat the 2 of them into submission, Agent Kemp turns off the program and says that they failed. Horribly. Try again. Back in the ground, though, Deadpool walks out of a diner thinking to himself that he should probably take on a job. Not paying for meatloaf is kind of scummy, and sorry he isn't going to cut it anymore. Speaking of sorry, when somebody wrongs him, he doesn't want a sorry, right? He should be getting even with them. He turns and kicks in the boarded doorway and yells, "What up, melon farmer?" Taskmaster looks up and says, "Aw, crap!" He reaches for his gun and Deadpool asks, "What do you got there? A wedgie?" As Taskmaster begins to shoot, Deadpool shouts, "Dude, it's not a wedgie! That's a gun! Why in God's name would you have a gun under your butt? Having a gun in there is dangerous!" Taskmaster shoots Deadpool's gun out of his hand, stating, "Shut up!" and ha! Deadpool, however, laughs at him, and Taskmaster then notices the grenade that was thrown next to him. The grenade goes off, burning Taskmaster up, and Deadpool walks through the smoke, stating, "How about we call it off with the guns and stuff for now?" Just then, Deadpool jumps through with a knife, and Taskmaster yells, "Wait, I'm sorry, Deadpool holds his knife to Taskmaster's face, telling him, "Really? Because I'm not buying it. Why did you come after me then?" And Taskmaster tells him, "Because you came after me!" Deadpool tells him, "I only came after you for a job." Taskmaster asks, "A job?" And Deadpool says, "Yeah, a mercenary job. We are mercenaries." "Wait, you thought this was about you selling me out to Black Box?" Taskmaster tells him, "Well, yeah." And Deadpool tells him, "I should, and I would. But the way I see it, nobody's ever gonna forgive me if I can't forgive them." Taskmaster tells him, "That's actually, very mature of you, Deadpool." After letting out a disgusting fart and almost making Taskmaster throw up, Deadpool says, "How about we call it even while I get some information?" Taskmaster coughs, stating, "Well, a couple of my pals stopped by." A few minutes later, after Deadpool leaves, Taskmaster turns on the screen and tells Agent Kemp, "Okay, he just left. Now give me that money." Now, a short while later in the helicarrier gym, T-Ray and Slayback work out, getting themselves ready for Deadpool. Agent Kemp then comes in. T-Ray flexes, asking, "You come to see the gun show?" And Agent Kemp tells him, "No, she's come with information that Deadpool is on his way." T-Ray asks, "On his way? You know what that means, right?" And Agent Kemp tells him, of course she does. Just then, the power of the helicarrier is turned off, and Agent Kemp finishes by stating, "He's already here." Slayback shouts, asking, "What are we gonna do? We're gonna die! We need to get off this damn ship!" Agent Kemp tells him that the parachutes are located in Storage E, end of the central corridor to the right. As Slayback runs out, T-Ray then asks, "Why would you tell him that? That was my partner." Agent Kemp tells him that he was going to die regardless. Better not take them down with him. Outside his slayback jump, he pulls the pin on the parachute, except the parachute is actually a bomb. Deadpool laughs to himself, stating, "Ha ha! One down!" However, T-Ray called my bluff. He then flips the power switch back on, restoring everything to normal, stating, "I'm just gonna have to do this old school." Back in the gym, T-Ray knocks off one of the weights on the barbell, telling Agent Kemp to stay here, looking pretty while he goes and handles business. T-Ray begins to make his way through the hallway, but when he stops at the cafeteria, he pauses and kicks the door in. Deadpool asks, "How long are we supposed to wait after eating before I kick someone's butt? I really don't want to get a cramp. Besides, didn't I kill you once before?" T-Ray gets ready to fight, asking, "How's that working out for you?" And Deadpool laughs, telling him, "It's funny that you mentioned working out." T-Ray stops and looks at the barbell, stating, "No way. The barbell? You put a pipe bomb in the barbell? That's old school, man." Deadpool goes on telling him, "This is how it's gonna play out. You're gonna tell me who's bankrolling this whole thing, and you're gonna walk away." T-Ray asks, "What's this, negotiating? This is new for you. Is it because you lost that healing factor?" Deadpool pulls out the detonator, and T-Ray says, "Here's my counter offer. Go ahead and push it." T-Ray then punches Deadpool, knocking the detonator out of his hand, catching it, telling him, "Thank you. Now I'm gonna beat you to death with a bomb that you made." As T-Ray completely destroys Deadpool, Agent Kemp radios in that she would like for him to bring Deadpool topside. T-Ray picks Deadpool up and throws him out onto the ceiling, stating, "No problem." A few moments later, as Deadpool sits with the barbells wrapped around him, T-Ray asks, "What you think? I even put a bow on him. You can push the button if you'd like." Agent Kemp tells him, "No, thank you. I will observe from here. But before we finish things, I have something to say to you. My name is Allison Kemp. And many years ago, you caused an explosion that cost me the use of nearly my entire body. Despite my disability, I've risen to the ranks of both the FBI and Interpol. Those achievements, however, mean nothing to me. There's one thing that I've always wanted ever since that day, and that is revenge. Though my body shall remain broken, I will nonetheless be made whole by your death." T-Ray bursts out laughing, stating, "That's my cue. This is gonna be epic, because no one could ever rig up an improvised explosive device like him." T-Ray pushes the button and there's a loud explosion. As the debris falls, Deadpool looks back and Agent Kemp tells him that if the barbell was actually a pipe bomb, he would have triggered it while they were in the gym. A bomb rigged to look like a detonator? For that, you would need a psychological strike. That's why the bomb set up on her wheelchair is not a ploy. She will not be denied her revenge, even if it kills her. Deadpool sits there for a moment and he begins to laugh. It serves me right. I should have offed you the first time around. How the hell did you even survive? Usually when I blow someone up, I really blow them the hell up. What's your name again? Agent Kemp begins to tell him. Kemp, Special Agent Allison. Deadpool stops her. Whoa, 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 whoa! You're a cop? Kemp then goes on stating that she was undercover when he... Deadpool stops her asking, "How the hell was I supposed to know you were a cop? You're probably with a bunch of really bad guys, right? Bunch of guys who deserve to get blown up? And I'm guessing you volunteered for that, right? Thought so. You rolled the dice and you lost. You're just pissed off because you can't walk is all. Blowing us both up isn't gonna make you whole. It's gonna make you dead. Jeez, lady, get your head out of your ass." A few moments later, Agent Kemp deactivates the bomb, stating that this has all been for nothing. Deadpool lets out a sigh of relief, stating, "I can't believe that worked." But another voice tells him actually, it didn't. Become apparent to her that even if she killed him, sooner or later he'd come back. You know, like herpes or me. Evil Pool shows up, telling him, because of some things, there's no cure. Deadpool says, "Wait, how? The serum?" His evil doppelganger, made up of cut-off body parts of Deadpool, tells him, "It didn't work well, not permanently at least." Deadpool groans and Deadpool asks, "What's that look about? Is it disappointment or hope or..." Deadpool thinks to himself, that's
Watch your back.
why his finger grew back. Evil Pool then asks, "What's going on in your head? How about we have a look?" Evil Pool takes the gun and pulls the trigger. And that is the end of Deadpool. Or is it? 3 hours. I can't believe that you have accomplished this amazing feat of audio drama-ness, whatever. But overall, let me know, what did you think of Daniel Way's Deadpool? I'm always... Welcome to the Full Story series. You see, here at Comic Story, and we take a lot of your favorite lore within your favorite pop culture universe, and we break them down into individual videos, giving you audio dramas that tell you brief portions of a storyline. As time goes on, we begin to add more and more videos to this longer storyline, and it becomes a giant, massive playlist, which becomes a problem for new viewers to track down the original videos. So, we eventually put them all together into this giant video so that you can just enjoy an hour-long or 2-hour or 3-hour-long movie of your favorite playlist. And today, we're going to be covering the Godspeed arc, the Negative Flash arc, the Flash War arc. So Basically, during Flash Rebirth, this is going to cover issues 1 through 50. So you're going to get to see everything from the origin of Godspeed to the origin of Negative Flash to the Flash War, and then we're going to leave you on the cliffhanger for the next part that we've been covering more recently. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into the story. Barry Allen is the fastest man alive, but even being super fast doesn't help you when you don't know where to go. Because of that, he is currently waiting for word from Batman or Wally about the unknown person that currently took 10 years away from the superheroes' lives. Wally has gone off to see the Titans and figure it out from that side, while Batman is doing his own investigations. Barry would love to get on the case himself, but there is plenty to keep him busy in Central City. And this is the problem that Barry is having. With so many crimes going on, he just isn't fast enough. He knows that, so he can't stay in one place long enough to even get a thank you. He runs off to the crime scene where his friend August is waiting for him with the captain of the police force, Singh. He grabs the evidence and then he remembers that he was supposed to meet up with Iris and the other Wally West. If you're confused, there are in fact 2 Wally Wests at this point, both raised by Iris. Classic Wally West is currently off with the Titans, while the newer Wally West that was introduced in the New 52 is still here in the main book. Barry runs over to Jitter's Cafe only to find that he's late as always. He talks to them for a second and then fire trucks go racing by. Wally looks up from his tablet to let Barry know that there's a fire on 4th and a Star Labs transport under attack on 22nd. Before Wally could even continue what he's saying, Barry takes off to the fire, putting on his suit. He tells himself he can do both. The fire is on the way and he's fast enough, so he runs into the building where he grabs a woman and carries her out and she screams, "My children!" He runs back in, dodging the flames in the crumbling building, and while this is going on, August managed to get into the path of the transport and the men who stole it. Members of the Black Hole pull their guns out on August. Flash runs out of the building with a kid in each arm. August, meanwhile, sees the Black Hole symbol and knows it. It was the symbol that was painted near where his brother was killed, and he wants to know who these guys are. They explained that they are Black Hole, and they pull the trigger. Flash knows that it's too late. He knows that he's a second off. He knows that he isn't fast enough, but he tries anyway. He hits top speeds, racing down the city with the rain pouring all around him. But he's already too late. And in a millisecond behind the bullet, he hears a crack. A bolt of lightning hits August. And then Flash sees August move at super speeds, knocking out the guy that tried to shoot him. And he looks at August to see he's now a speedster. And thus, the Flash adds someone else with powers, someone else who is morally driven to do the right thing. The first thing that they did was test out the limits of August's new Speed Force powers because he refused to go to Star Labs and get tested there. Once they discovered that he could do everything that the Flash could do, August turned to him. "Thank you for helping me, Barry." I'm not Barry Allen, I'm the Flash. But August explained that Barry's secret was safe with him. He knows the Flash helps people, and he knows Barry was there for him when his brother was murdered. It's okay. He isn't going to tell anyone. Meanwhile, while Barry is teaching his new friend, someone else is testing out their Speed Force powers in secret. Wally West gained them during the last storyline, and he's now testing out his top speeds, but he has a concern. His uncle was Daniel West, the Reverse Flash. What if he turns evil like his uncle? Barry and August head over to the office, where August begins to talk to Barry and ask him, "With these powers, there's so much that we could do. Why don't we do it, Barry? We could be above the law, handling things ourselves. We could save people that deserve it." And Barry tells August, "That sounds like revenge. While doing that sounds like it could be easy, it wouldn't be right. We need to do things by the book, August." And August asks him, "Wouldn't you use these powers to save your mother?" Which throws Barry off guard, because he tried that, breaking the timeline in the first place. Iris then calls up August to discuss the case. But while on the phone, the Black Hole group actually just kidnaps her right there because she's trying to report on them. August tells Barry where she is, and in a flash, she's gone. Just as Iris leaps out of the moving vehicle, Flash runs in catching her, and then he rockets off chasing the van, only to be hit by a weird Speed Force-based beam in his chest. The crooks all leap out of the van asking Flash, "Did you really think you could stop us alone?" And that's when August runs in. Not anymore, he doesn't. The Flash tries to tell him to stop, but August, using the tricks that he was taught, throws the Black Hole gang off their balance. Then, with their combined powers, they take out the gang, and they get them arrested. Iris runs over to the new speedster to ask who he is, and after considering it and rubbing his chin, August informs her that he is the Flash's new partner. Flash thinks about it, and he decides that he likes the sound of that. A partner? Things could be worse. Maybe this was the Speed Force answering the Flash's wish to be able to live a life and save people, to be in two places at once. But that's when things get a tad bit more interesting, as the Speed Force storm that was around earlier giving August his powers begins to strike people all all over Central City, creating dozens of speedsters everywhere. August and Flash begin to run around the city, rounding up as many of these new would-be speedsters who are trying to commit crimes up as they can. They bring them to Iron Heights, and once there, Flash explains to August his weird relationship with Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. He explains how Eobard killed his mother and has been messing with his life through timeline manipulation. And August is in shock. He had no idea what Eobard had put Barry through. But as they go to leave Iron Heights, they get told about another location that new speedsters are ending up at, and that's Star Labs. The people who got their powers and didn't choose to immediately commit crimes went to Star Labs to try and learn how to control their powers. And that's where Flash meets Mina, a woman who had a boring job at Star Labs but was always interested in the Speed Force and its applications. So she created the Speed Force Testing Center for all of these new speedsters. Flash gets a little nervous, telling her that she better not be planning to use these new speedsters as lab rats, but after she runs to Keystone City and back, he sees why she wouldn't be interested in turning speedsters into lab rats. August runs back to hold down their jobs at the police station while Mina brings Flash to where he's needed. You see, some people got their powers and they went for help at Star Labs, but some people got their powers and headed out to be a criminal, and still some people couldn't control the power that they gained. They're very scared. Mina brings Flash to see a woman named Avery who's vibrating so quickly that she can't seem to hold still. So he teaches her how to think slowly to stop it from happening. And he sees the good that he could do by teaching people. Realizing that he needs to help all of these new speedsters, Flash decides that he'll even help the criminals as he returns to Iron Heights with Mina to get them out of lockup, only to hear the alarm blaring. He runs over to the room and the guards tell him that his partner is already inside, and when he gets into the room with the criminal speedsters, he finds them all dead, sapped of their life force, and August on the ground. August explains that he came to check on them, but when he got here, he saw someone vibrating through the walls, and then that person sapped these kids of their speed force before throwing him to the floor. And he said his name was Godspeed. They honestly don't have much to go on, so Flash goes back to the training facility to do just that, train new speedsters. Even Avery, the woman that he helped, is beginning to learn how to control her powers, so Mina brings him into another room to explain something. She has done her research, and the people with the Speed Force, they're all connected through the Speed Force. And the Speed Force itself wants to be brought back together. It's been divided due to the Speed Force storm. So whenever two speedsters use their powers next to each other, their Speed Force will lock together, and it will recombine into one of the speedsters, the fastest one. Basically, the speedsters can race against each other, and one speedster will steal the speed out of the others. And that's how Godspeed stole the speed out of the kids. August then drops in out of uniform so that they can keep their secret identity safe, and he drops off the clues from the Godspeed crime scene. As Barry begins to flip through those reports, Iris arrives with some incredible news that she wanted to give Barry before she releases it to the public 24 hours later. Dr. Joseph Carver was a Star Labs scientist that was fired for experimenting with the Speed Force. He stole the Speed Force sample that Star Labs had, and he found a way to weaponize it. That's what the Flash was shot with, which means the Black Hole group is using the Speed Force against him. Flash runs off with Mina alongside him, leaving August back to heal in case Godspeed arrives, and they arrive at Dr. Carver's lab, which is also Black Hole's base. Flash and Mina run around disabling Dr. Carver's thugs, and the Flash grabs the doctor, asking him if he did this. Did he create the Speed Force storm? And he admits to it, telling the Flash that the storm is only the beginning. And then he activates his new device, the Speed Machine. The Speed Force begins to jump to his machine and place it into his body, but it's too much, and he begins to change into a Speed Force tornado, into something completely different, and he screams out in pain. And then using his newfound powers, he throws the Flash to the ground, and Mina runs over, helping him up, informing him that he can't do this alone. He can't stop Dr. Carver by himself. And that's the moment that August runs in with some of the new Speed Force trainees, telling him that he doesn't need to work alone. August actually came here in his speedster uniform to interrogate Dr. Carver about the death of his brother, because Dr. Carver is linked to Black Hole, and Black Hole is linked to his brother. But it's also a good thing that he brought some of these Speed Force trainees, because it looks like the Flash could use a hand. The Flash asks him if this is Godspeed, and August tells him that he isn't sure. It was all a blur when he was knocked down. So the Flash comes up with a fast plan that requires the help of everyone as they distract him, and then they all begin to race around Dr. Carver. Using the new information that Mina has given him, Flash decides that the group can outrace Dr. Carver and draw the Speed Force out of him, and in a giant crack, that's exactly what happens. Then as Dr. Carver is on the ground in pain, the Flash smiles, realizing that he now has multiple people to help him. Having partners is something that he has missed ever since the original Wally West vanished. Meanwhile, our new Wally West is still trying to get a handle on his new Speed Force powers, and he sees an ad asking if anyone needs help learning their Speed Force, they can visit Star Labs. Flash and the crew head back to Star Labs, where the Flash realizes that he can actually do this. He can actually teach these newcomers how to control their powers, and then he can possibly get a normalish life back. And that's when Mina kisses him. So he decides to take a major leap. He doesn't want his two lives to be separate anymore, and he tells her My real name's Barry Allen. The next day, the Flash decides that it's time to finally relax a little, to enjoy his life with Mina. And he even takes some time to actually visit with Iris and have a cup of coffee with her. Wally West, on the other hand, though, has arrived at Star Labs, and he really isn't sure he should be doing this. He really kind of wants to keep his Speed Force powers secret. But Mina sees him trying to walk away, and after talking to him, decides to help him train away from the lab. She shows him what he can do, and she even gets a chance to show him how to be a hero like the Flash. And Wally loves it. So Mina and him agree to meet back every day to continue his training. Mina then heads back to Star Labs to find the doors blown off. And inside is one man sapping the Speed Force out of everyone around him. Godspeed. She runs over trying to stop him by punching him, but he's way beyond her league. So she knocks Avery away from him and tells her to find the Flash. She turns to the other Speedster trainees and tells them that he's trying to sap their speed, so they need to run against him. They need to outrace Godspeed. But instantly it doesn't work, as he is so much faster than any of them, and Avery runs off to try and find the Flash. They need help. The Flash is running through Central City with August by his side as they discuss what Mina could mean to him when Avery shows up telling them what's going on. Godspeed is at Star Labs. The Flash is confused. They stopped the black hole. They stopped Dr. Carver. Wasn't he Godspeed? So he takes off for Star Labs, where he finds a bunch of the trainees drained of their life force and Mina's suit on the ground, and no Mina. Flash and August get to work trying to solve this because the Flash isn't convinced that Mina is dead. There was no body, and her suit had traces of something that happened to him a long time ago. Something like a crisis. August tells him that they should not reach for straws and that they should be out there looking for Godspeed. But Barry tells him that he's looking all over the city. Godspeed isn't there. The news then reports that Godspeed just ran a man across the highway, scraping him at lightning speeds to death. He turns to everyone and asks how the news knew to call him Godspeed, and the trainees explain that they told the press. People needed to know the situation. And the Flash tells him, "You're right. I'm sorry I didn't tell them sooner." So he runs over to talk to Iris about the information that she has on the black hole and get her thoughts on the death of Mina, just as Wally comes home and overhears the discussion of the death of Mina. Barry turns and is confused as to why Wally is so upset as tears begin to stream down his eyes. He then runs out of the room, and as Barry tries to stop him to understand what's going on, he then quickly discovers that Wally is gone, and he begins to wonder, does Wally have powers? As he walks back into Iris's room, he decides to ask her what the latest victim's name was, and Iris informs him of the individual's name. That's when it all clicks. Barry knows who Godspeed is. He takes off as the Flash and he finds August, demanding that he stop so that they can talk. And Flash explains that he was checking into Godspeed's victims. And there's one victim that didn't fit the MO. The victim was dragged to death and he didn't have any Speed Force-based powers. And August smirks. Sounds like it was personal. It was Billy Parks, August. The man you suspected of murdering your brother. Tell me you didn't do this, August. He deserved to die. Billy could have been an innocent. My gut was right, Barry. He did it. We don't know that. Yes, we did. Killing isn't justice. I took a criminal off the streets. What? Did you kill the other speedsters as well? What about Mina? You barely knew her, Barry. Excuse me? You and Mina weren't some great love affair for the ages. Don't turn Mina into another tragedy for you to make into your life story. And the Flash strikes August across the face. So he wipes the blood aside and he lets the lightning flow. You know, I was thinking of calling myself the new and improved Flash because you clearly aren't cutting it anymore. But I realized that with these powers, I am judge, jury, and executioner. So I call myself Godspeed. Then he runs off. Try to catch me, Flash. He begins to run off with the Flash in pursuit. How did you do it, August? Well, Barry, you see, I'm faster than you. So much faster that I can do what you have ever so desperately wanted. I can be in two places at the same time. And that's when a second Godspeed arrives, and with the two of them, they knock the Flash down. One of the Godspeeds grabs Barry while the other one repeatedly pummels him until he's bloody. You have to believe me. I never wanted to kill Mina or the others. I just wanted to be fast. So I could stop anyone from ever having to experience the pain that I felt from losing someone. Think about your mother's killer sitting in Iron Heights. If someone like me was around back then, they could have saved her from Thawne. And then he screams out in pain. The Flash asks him, "Are you okay?" "I can't believe you're still concerned about me. Keeping myself in two places for too long begins to hurt." So the Flash gets up. Good! And he sucker punches August so that he can run for it. He makes it back to Star Labs where he collapses on the floor, but Godspeed isn't done while the Flash is thinking of a plan. The Black Hole Group has now taken some hostages over at the local courthouse where they demand the police listen to them. And realizing that he can do good and find out more about Black Hole and his brother's killers, Godspeed runs to the scene to vibrate two guys into the walls and take out the third before running the leader of this group to a rooftop. He begins to shake him violently at super speeds, demanding to know how some street thug named Billy Parks is connected to Black Hole, and the leader tells him, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Meanwhile, Wally runs over to Star Labs looking for the Flash, and he finds him doing nothing. Not aware that he's trying to recover from his last meeting with Godspeed, Wally flips out on him, telling him that he can't believe that he's standing around doing nothing while Mina's killer is running free. He'll just go find Godspeed himself, and he runs out of the building. Barry catches up to him, and he finds out that since the Flash is friends with his Aunt Iris, that's why Wally didn't want to seek out the Flash for help. But Mina, she was helping him. And now she's gone. But he learned from the Flash that he can also help people. He needs to help people. It's his choice what he does with these powers. And the Flash is shocked. You learned that from me? But it gives him an idea. If he can go faster, he can stop Godspeed, and Mina said that the Speed Force is trying to reconnect. His theory is that the reason that the speedsters died is because they raced against Godspeed, fighting to keep their powers. So what if they were giving them up willingly? He takes Wally with him back to Star Labs, and he explains to everyone that he wants to take their speed so that he can stop Godspeed. They'll get to go back and have normal lives, but they have to willingly give it up. And it works, granting both Barry and Wally more speed than they've ever had before. And that's when Godspeed arrives, kicking everyone. If you're willing to give up your powers, you don't deserve them. The Flash chases after Godspeed, and as they exit the lab, he informs Flash, "I'm gonna do you a favor, Barry. I'm going to Iron Heights to kill the man that killed your mother, Eobard Thawne, along with every other crook in Iron Heights. I'll be back in a minute, buddy." The Flash runs after him as fast as he can, and then he reaches out to August, knowing that he can use the Speed Force feedback to stop him from running. They both hit the ground in pain, and August tells him, "I'm shocked that you would use the Speed Force against a friend." He stands up and he begins to separate himself into two, and then one begins to run to Iron Heights while the other stays to prevent Barry from stopping him. Because Barry's all alone. He can't stop Godspeed until Wally jumps in. No, he's not. Barry gets back up asking Wally what he's doing, and he tells him that he was thinking about his Aunt Iris and how she would never stand by while other people were in trouble. August looks at the two of them and he tells him, "Too bad I'm still faster." But Flash knows that he actually isn't faster. When August separates, he breaks his Speed Force connection down, making him slower, meaning the Flash and Wally can outrace him. They begin to run circles around the two Godspeeds, and they begin to sap out his Speed Force energy until crack! Wally then stands over the defeated Godspeed, and a new Kid Flash outfit granted to him by the Speed Force. August swings at him, throwing him aside, thinking that he still has enough speed to try and finish his mission. So he gets up and he begins to sprint towards Iron Heights until the Flash grabs him and in a swift motion, knocks him out. A few days pass and August is restrained in Iron Heights, where Barry comes to visit him to inform him Billy Parks wasn't the killer of his brother. He ran the evidence, and August was wrong the whole time. August doesn't want to believe it, but Barry assures him that he'll track down the real killer, and August scoffs at that. "You don't have time, Barry. You're alone again. Plus, you're going to be busy trying to figure out who's behind the Black Hole and that Speed Force storm that started all of this." Barry looks at him. "It was Dr. Carver. We stopped him." "No, Barry. There was someone else. Someone over him that supplied him, and I know who it is, but I'm not going to tell you. I think it'll be a nice bargaining chip that I can save for the future." Meanwhile, Wally shows his Aunt Iris his new speedster suit and begins a very long explanation. And then he tells Iris not to worry. He won't become Daniel. He has a great teacher named the Flash. While the Flash is watching over Wally's training, someone appears behind him to thank him in his ear. Someone that he really shouldn't be hearing. He turns around to see a speedster trail on the ground asking, "Mina?" Barry walks in to see Iris on Halloween and he notices someone delivered flowers. Then he eyeballs them. "Someone gave you flowers?" Wally chimes in from the back. "Aunt Iris has a secret admirer. She explains that they get dropped off every week without a note." And Barry looks at them and then jokingly states, "Maybe I need to start dusting them for fingerprints." And that's when they all get called away. Wally goes on to explain that ever since the Godspeed incident, he's been training with the Flash to become a better Kid Flash. He wants to be like the Flash so bad, but he feels like the Flash is just hard to talk to sometimes. Then, as they're saving people on a bridge, someone tells him, "Nice suit, kid," and another Flash appears in front of him. Wally watches as this new Flash steals the speed from the explosion, saving Wally from that explosion. And then he calls out, "Flash, there's another speedster from the Speed Force storm!" Barry runs over telling Wally it's fine, this is a friend of his. And then this new Flash explains that Wally can call him Flash. But this just confuses Wally. Wait, there are two Flashes? That's confusing. You don't know the half of it, kid. To help make things not super confusing for you, the viewer, at this point, we're going to refer to New 52 Wally West as Wally. We'll refer to Barry Allen as Barry, and the original Wally West will be referred to as Flash, since he doesn't want to reveal his name yet. Barry explains to Wally that he trained this Flash a while ago, and this Flash reaches his hand out to shake Wally's. But that's when something happens, and Barry feels it in his mind. Lightning courses through him and he screams out in pain. "This has happened before! I was warned!" He hits the ground on his knees and Wally tries to reach out to him, but the feedback from the Speed Force throws him aside. Flash runs over. "Are you okay?" And Wally tells him that it burned him. Barry begins dwelling on everything. "What's the point? Why do we do this? Dress up and save the lives of people who don't want to be saved? Everything we love is being taken away." He then gets up, lightning shooting off of him. "Neither of you understand. My parents were taken from me, but you were both abandoned. They left you." He then turns to Wally. "Your father would rather you call him uncle instead of dad." And Wally stares at him. "That's right. Daniel West, the Reverse Flash, is your father. He didn't want to admit it, and that's why he became the Reverse Flash." Flash runs over telling Barry to stop right there. And Barry turns to him. "You? You think you can fill my boots? I have no legacy. I'm the Flash. Do you understand me, punk? Me!" He then begins to absorb into the Speed Force, and he begins to pull him in. And then he sees him. Zoom! "You're destined to run alone forever. I've seen your future." But Flash has an idea. Barry saved him from the very same thing a short while ago, and he reaches into the Speed Force with the help of Wally. And then with an explosion, the Speed Force is calmed down. Barry looks at Flash and Wally and he tells them that he's sorry. They did it. They stopped the Speed Force from absorbing him. While they all should be happy about this, Wally looks at him scared. "Is Uncle Daniel really my dad?" Barry turns to him. "Wally, I'm sorry. I found out when he was arrested." And Wally takes off confused. He knows that Barry didn't mean what he said, but could it be true? Did Daniel West become the Reverse Flash because of Wally? Barry begins to try and chase after him, but the Flash tells him not to. Sometimes you need to run it off. Later that evening, Flash gets out of costume and he catches up with Wally. They both ask each other if they know who they are, since they've only ever met in costume. And Wally tells the Flash, "It's kind of easy. The red hair is a giveaway." Wally explains everything, how he used to idolize his Uncle Daniel, and why would Daniel leave him? What was wrong with him? So the Flash tells him that when he was a kid, his parents fought all the time, and when they sent him away, he felt rejected as well. He dealt with it with lessons that Barry taught him, that it's all about believing in yourself with your heart. Your powers don't matter. You aren't alone, Kid Flash, no matter what has happened in the past. Wally finally cracks a smile and asks him if he has any advice for working with Barry. So the Flash points at him. "One day, you're gonna challenge the Flash to a race, and he's gonna let you win. It's who the Flash is." They both suit up and they run off as Flash tells him, "We're family, Kid Flash. I'm here for you." And then he ran to go meet with Barry. He explained that they discovered who had removed him from the timeline and that it had screwed everything up. It was the villain Abracadabra, and he fought him along with the Titans. This is a story that we will be covering shortly, so don't worry, you aren't missing that much. It hasn't concluded yet. Barry then asked him if he was the one delivering the flowers, and the Flash tells him it is him. He wants her to know that someone cares about her. Barry tries to convince him to tell Iris everything, but he tells him it isn't time. Abracadabra hit the Titans hard. Yes, he made the world forget about this version of Wally, but he isn't the one messing with the timelines, and they need to solve that before he'll tell anyone anything. So the two of them suit up and they get ready to run some more. But Barry tells the Flash one thing that he saw while in the Speed Force: an odd-looking helmet with a set of wings on it. He doesn't know what it was, but it filled him with hope. where we will tell you the story of a man made of darkness. Haunted by his own history, the man learned that one of the real horrors of life is that your life could be affected by the maliciousness of others. At his worst, he turned to misdeeds and mischief, but one day, he was blessed with friends and love. He found hope, and he gave up his wicked ways. And thus, the wicked man lived happily ever after. But that was a long time ago. We are now in Central City, where Barry Allen and Iris West are running through the park getting in shape. Iris brings up the fact that Wally has been ditching school and would like Barry to speak to him for her. Barry pretends to be winded and asks if this is why she invited him to jog with her. And then he notices somebody playing with paper nearby and feels like something is off. That's when Papercut gets up telling everyone to empty their wallets. Before Barry can run in, Iris gets in the way telling him to be careful, and Barry realizes that he can't change into the Flash with her there. He begins to wonder what he's going to do. Does he risk his identity and just save the day? But that's the moment that another speedster arrives on the scene. Kid Flash, aka Wally West. He runs in hitting Papercut and knocking him down. And then Iris demands to know why Kid Flash isn't in school. You see, no one knows Barry's identity, but Iris does know her nephew is Kid Flash. Before Wally can come up with a good excuse, Papercut gets up telling him that he doesn't just control paper, it's just the easiest. And then he begins to move trees around Wally. As the trees pick up Iris and Wally, Iris calls out for Barry to help them, but she can't seem to find him in the mess. That's probably because he changed into the Flash. He shows back up and makes quick work of Papercut saving everyone. He then turns to Wally. You wait here. I'm taking paper.
It's too far away.
never cut to Iron Heights. Flash catches up with Wally and demands to know why he lied to him. Flash and Wally had an arrangement. He would go to school and the Flash would teach him afterwards. He was never to go off on his own. Flash tells him that he knows that he's breaking their deal. He knows that he's been running with the Teen Titans and he shouldn't be. You're not the first partner to try and hide things from me. I thought I could trust you, Wally. And until I can, I don't think I can train you to be Kid Flash. But that ticks off Wally. You talk about trust? I don't even know your name. Why does that other red-haired Flash know your name but I don't? He then storms off, leaving Flash to wonder about that one. Barry goes back to his lab where he goes over the situation and how many people he's lost. Time with his father while he was in prison. That other Wally West, who's now going by the name The Flash. August, who turned out to be Godspeed. And then there's Mina. Barry has been following the sightings of a speedster taken from the rich and giving to the poor. And he's certain that it's Mina. But why hasn't she reached out to him? If you're curious as to who this other speedster is, check out the first video for Flash Rebirth. Godspeed. Meanwhile, Wally heads back home where he gets himself grounded for skipping school and he heads to his room. He then decides, you know what? I'll just go catch a rogue. If I do that, the Flash will have to trust me. So after hearing reports about an evil shadow, Wally decides, how hard can a shadow be? He runs out and finds an odd man in a top hat and he offers to help him. When he turns around, Wally sees his twisted grin on his face and he informs Wally, hope was taken, and without hope, life is meaningless. Then shadow creatures begin to leap out from behind the man and they begin to drag Wally down. And before he knows it, he's lost in the shadows. The next day, Barry went to speak with Wally, as Barry and not the Flash. But of course, he finds him gone. Iris assumes that she was too hard on Wally and he ran off. So she goes outside to call for the Flash and just like that, he appears. Kinda convenient because technically he was right behind her as Barry Allen in his secret identity. As the two of them try to figure out what's going on, Flash's shadow comes to life and Shade pops up telling him, hope is lost. I need your help. He needs your help. Kid Flash in the shadows. Hearing that, Iris runs into the shadows and leaves Flash behind. Without a second thought, Flash runs for it. Really, Iris? I'm supposed to be the one running into danger. The Flash quickly realizes that he isn't near Iris and he isn't in Central City anymore. He's in Shade's shadow world. The shadow monsters begin to attack him and he tries to outrun them, but that's when Wally shows up telling him that you can't outrace them, but they hate our lightning. And with that, a massive burst of lightning shoots out of Wally and he collapses. The Flash runs over to catch him, asking if he's okay. And Wally explains that he's just exhausted. He's been here for days. And the Flash tells him it's only been a few hours. As they try to figure out what's going on, they hear Shade, the real Shade, not the twisted and demented one, talking to them. He explains that he left this life behind. He had a woman that he loved, and he was spending his life with her. But his own fears of this power overtaking him gave life to the shadows once again. He began to lose control of them as his subconscious began to guide them to do things that would supposedly help him. But it led him to losing hope, losing the woman that he loved. These creatures took her away from him and brought her to the shadow world. He, of course, had to chase them, but he was overwhelmed and he needed the Flash, so he was reaching out to him. The Flash then asks him, so you aren't controlling them? Yes and no. It's my feelings of fear and doubt that are controlling them and twisting this world into an evil place. So Flash agrees to help Shade if Shade gets Kid Flash out of this mess. Even though Kid Flash argues that he wants to save Iris, Shade ends up informing both of them that it doesn't matter. No one can leave until we have regained control of the shadows. And the shadows are preoccupied with something that they are building, the Tower of Darkness. They are hoping to build it to free themselves from this world forever. Flash brings up that if they find Hope, he can bring her back to Shade and they can end this. And Wally then asks, what about Iris? So Shade informs them, you misunderstand. I already found Hope and Iris. They've been infected by the shadows and they are now the queens of them. It's time for Flash versus Iris West. While Flash and Wally run around with Shade fighting the shadows, Hope and Iris stand in their castle. Hope says that she used to be a cop and never understood why people would go to a life of crime. But now she understands how fun it is. And Iris explains that her nephew and Flash have always been the ones with power. They worry and fret over her as if she's some weak damsel in distress. Well, now, she has the power. And as they become more certain of themselves, their powers grow. And the battle outside is being lost as they control the shadows. No matter how fast they run and generate light, the darkness creeps back in at the same speed, until it finally swallows up both of our speedsters. Flash tells Wally to remember what he taught him about vibrating through objects, becoming intangible. And Wally says he can't remember, and he won't try. So Flash asks him, why won't you at least try to vibrate? And Wally snaps back at him, because Mina was supposed to train me and she's gone. Flash brings Wally close to him and he freezes time, per se. He explains that he locked their speed force together, seemingly freezing time, but they are basically moving at a high speed together, so it only appears like they've frozen time. It allows them to talk for a second. I know you're upset that Mina is gone, I am too, but I need you to trust me, Kid Flash. Why can't you tell me who you are? You don't trust me. It isn't about trust. Knowing my secret identity, it's a burden. Secret Secrets can weigh a person down. I'm protecting you. I didn't get a chance to be a kid. No friends, clubs, or band practice. I was alone, and I don't want that for you. You deserve a real childhood, and that means that some things need to be kept secret. Now trust me, I can't hold this for much longer. Wally looks at him. Can you at least give me a clue to your name? Because you look like a Chad. I was named after my grandfather. Now our frozen moment is wearing off. You need to go intangible with me or they'll tear us to shreds. Can you vibrate with me? Is this really a teachable moment, Flash? Every day is, Kid Flash. Conquering his fears while he vibrates as much as he can. And it works, and he blows the shadows back. Finally free of the shadows attacking them, they both rocket off towards the Tower of Darkness. In the tower, Hope has Shade captive, and in doing so, loses her grip on Iris just a little, so that Iris begins to question what she's doing. Hope turns back to Iris. Isn't letting go of your worries fun? But Iris starts to see the truth and tells her, just because it's easy and fun doesn't mean it's right. Your will is strong, Iris. If you reject the powers of the shadows, I will have them rip you apart. Shade can't take it anymore. Hope, no, it's me you want. I did this. The shadows, they acted out because of me. They knew that the only thing holding me back from returning to my old ways was you. Hope turns to him. It's not about you, Shade. The shadows showed me the better ways of the darkness. Seeing you like this is breaking my heart, Hope. But I guess spending an eternity with this dark version of you is my punishment. And he grabs her, using his powers against her. Wally runs in, grabbing Iris and pulling her aside, while the Flash runs over to Shade, but Shade tells him not to bother, save themselves. Flash tells Shade, not a chance, we're getting out of this together. Wally, now! Both of them begin to charge up their lightning, hitting massive levels of light and electricity. And then they do it. A fist bump. Light begins to hit the entire area, blasting the Shadow Realm away. And that's it. Everyone is now standing in Central City. Wally asks Iris how she stopped the darkness from possessing her, and Iris explains that she's just stubborn. Shade turns to Hope, explaining what happened and how sorry he is. And Hope tells him to trust in himself and her. His past will always be a part of him, but today, they have each other. Flash puts his hand on Shade's shoulder. You know, you're allowed to be happy, right, Shade? You should learn to heed your own advice, Flash. So Shade pulls out a positive shadow and uses it to teleport him and Hope back home. But as he leaves, he tells Flash, let your lovely wife get some rest, Flash. Give her my regards. Flash, of course, is confused. Wife? We're not married, Shade. My mistake. With a crack of light, Shade is gone. Flash just shrugs it off and everyone heads home. With everything working out, Barry heads over to see Iris the next day to ask her out on a date. Because if this timeline is going to fix itself, it's time he started talking to his potential wife, isn't it? Now the rogues consist of Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, Heatwave, Golden Glider, and Captain Boomerang. Or at least they did until Captain Boomerang left for the Suicide Squad. But the weird thing is that the rogues are currently missing from Central City. You see, they broke out of prison not long ago, and with everything going on for the Flash, he hasn't been able to find them. So many other villains in Central City, and on top of that, he had to deal with Godspeed and his new kid Flash. But as the Warden reminds Flash that the rogues are in fact missing, Flash reminds him that the rogues were pardoned for their recent heroic acts. Is it possible that the rogues have hung up their weapons and quit? The Warden doesn't quite believe that, and as much as Flash wants to believe it, he decides that he should perhaps at least look into it. He begins to follow the trails as Flash and as Barry Allen, asking the various families and known associates of the rogues. His investigation led him to a woman who taught Lisa Snart how to ice skate. Lisa goes by the rogue name Golden Glider. Barry begins to speak with her and she presents a photograph of both Leonard and Lisa Snart before they were Captain Cold and Golden Glider. In the photo, Barry saw a smiling Leonard with his father in front of the Polar Ice Building. So in a crack of lightning, he arrives at the scene as Flash, and it's there that he eventually finds the rogue's safe house in an underground lair. He does question why everyone has an underground lair and wonders if he should maybe get one, but the big thing that he notices is that the rogues aren't there and they seem to have left in a hurry. So as he begins to gather up evidence, a countdown begins, and Barry is left with 10 seconds to get what he can and get out of the building before it explodes. But he got too greedy and was almost caught in the explosion. Luckily, he vibrated at just the right frequency to allow the explosion to pass through him. While this would have been the end of the investigation for many heroes, Barry moved fast enough to get all of the important information about where the rogues are. And he knows what they're doing and he knows how to stop them, even if they aren't in Central City anymore. Except this time, Barry is wrong. Because as he leaves to investigate what he thinks is going on, Captain Cold is watching with the rest of the rogues and tells them, "The Flash has left. It's time.
I'm out of
Over in
range.
Corto Maltese, there's currently a statue made out of gold and jewels. It's the statue of Mercury, and the rogues are here to steal it as they come flying in through the window. Ice is blasted on the floor as Captain Cold creates a bridge for them, and Trickster lands putting down a box that blocks all signals exiting the building, leaving it open for Mirror Master to begin the master plan. But just as they get their glass planes around the statue, all of the rogues hear the telltale crack of a speedster arriving. They turn to see a smiling Barry Allen, upset that he made a better entrance than them. He runs right to Trickster, grabbing and throwing him aside before ducking underneath Heatwave's blast and uppercutting him. A bolt of lightning flies past him as he nearly dodges it, and he runs up to the mirrors to dodge the bolt running off of them. Golden Glider slides out of a mirror, wrapping her ribbons around the Flash, but he uses his own momentum to throw her into Weather Wizard, stopping the both of them. He then tells the rogues, it's over, but Captain Cold grabs a hostage, demanding that Flash stop and let them go. Flash smiles. You won't do it. You told me once the rogues have a code. No killing. Snart snaps at him. There's exceptions to the rule. It's fight or flight, Flash. Do you want to see how cold-blooded I can be? Not really, but there is something I do know. Snart is right-handed. In a whoosh, the Flash grabs the hostage, freeing her from Cold's grasp, and then he comes back with the full speed of a speedster, punching Captain Cold and shattering him. You're a mirror construct. You're not the real Snart. He then looks at Mirror Master. This is your doing. Where are the rogues? None of them were here. He runs over to grab Mirror Master, but Mirror Master begins to fall backwards, smirking. Bravo, Flash. You see, we needed to get you out of the city for every second possible, but that's also why we chose this museum. It has mirrors everywhere. All over the museum, Mirror Master begins to step out of his mirrors as mirror constructs of Flash, and they begin to grab the hostages. He rockets around, breaking apart the constructs of himself, but he did so quickly that all of the mirrors cut up his fist. Then all of the shards of the mirror become a giant mirror Flash, which begins to mirror his very speed. It grabs the Flash, slamming him into a giant mirror with Mirror Master taunting him. So he thinks of only one answer to this problem: turn the mirror shards into dust. So he vibrates at the speed of 10,000 vibrations a second. All of the shards begin to turn to dust, except as he was facing off against himself, Mirror Master grabbed the statue and made a break for it before warning the Flash that the rogues were just getting started. Flash splits back to Central City to see the horrible truth. The rogues have finally won. They split up and hit multiple locations. How can the Flash catch them if he doesn't know where to run? Standing in the crime scene of one of the heists, Iris West walks over asking Flash how he lost to the rogues. He tells her he isn't sure. He honestly doesn't even know what they stole here. She explains that she was hoping that the rogues would finally realize that the city wants them to be heroes, but sadly it looks like they slipped right back into being villains. Flash tells her that he's given them so many chances, hoped for some good in them, but they've always proved him wrong. And then he thinks about what Iris got him thinking about. Wait, what did they steal? He counts up everything stolen, and all of it was big and bold items, from the statue to every jewel in a jewelry store to everything in a bank, including the safety deposit boxes. It was their biggest heist ever. It was their last heist, which means they don't ever intend on coming back to Central City, and if you weren't coming home ever again, where would you go? He runs over to each of their homes and he finds Heatwave standing in front of his childhood home holding flowers. I went to their graves first, Heatwave, but then I remembered your old childhood home. Heatwave doesn't turn around to face the Flash. Instead, he slowly puts on his helmet and he tells him, I only have one regret, Flash. That's that I didn't burn down the whole neighborhood. And with that, he begins to light up all of the houses around them, setting fires in every single home. Flash quickly runs into each building, rescuing the poor civilians. And then he comes rocketing back to face off against Heatwave, but he gets a full blast of the heat gun. He drops to the ground as Heatwave walks over. I've never burned you this bad, Flash. After a few months of skin graft, you'll be okay. He then walks away to meet with the rest of the rogues. They're meeting on a boat offshore, and when Heatwave shows up, he tells them that he got to burn the Flash. Captain Cold knows the truth, doesn't he? The Flash didn't lose to Heatwave. He let himself get burnt so that he can follow him. As he tells them to get ready to roll, the Flash is instantly on the boat, taking out every rogue except for Cold. He then walks over to Cold, and Cold freezes his foot in place. You see, Flash, I know the truth. The Flash always beats the rogues. So while they were stealing the money, I broke into Star Labs to steal something else. The specs for the black hole weapon that created the Speed Force storm and threw you for a loop. He then pulls out a new weapon. Say hello to my black ice gun. Let's see how smart you are now. Using his new Speed Force Black Hole empowered ice gun, he begins to spread ice over everything, blasting the Flash over and over, and he can't outrun it because it's empowered by the Black Hole, which is slightly empowered by the Speed Force itself. The battle is epic, and the Flash asks him, why do this? You took the Black Hole tech and you were able to reverse engineer it into something like this? You could work 4-star labs. Do good for the city. You want me to work a desk job, Flash? That's a waste of a life, buddy. I love being a rogue. Flash keeps trying to reach Captain Cold, but again and again he blasts him with the black ice, holding him in place, and the ice combined with the Black Hole tech begins to literally start to tear apart the Flash. We like being rogues, just like you like being the Flash. Admit it, you don't play hero for them. You play it because it gets your rocks off. Admit it! Using everything he has, the Flash vibrates at just the right speed, creating a heat wall around his body to keep the cold away from him. Then, super heated up, he charges forward shouting, "Never!" And he punches Captain Cold out. He then tries to dismantle the black ice gun, except the rest of the rogues have woken up, and the Flash is now weakened. Using the last bits of his energy, he begins to battle against them, and he turns to them all. You claim the Central City is your turf, that what you stole, you only stole while protecting the city. But look at the damage you've caused. It goes deeper than the stuff you steal. The people hide from the rogues, not out of respect, but out of fear. Golden Glider comes out of nowhere, wrapping up the weakened Flash, and she puts the black ice gun to his head. You know, maybe that's what's been holding the rogues back. The whole moral code thing. We could just end this now. Captain Cold steps forward, holding his hands out, trying to talk her down. Sis, give me the gun. But she throws the tied up Flash to the ground, hops on his back with the gun pressed to his head. How many times have we done this, Leonard? Even this time, our last heist, the Flash couldn't let us go. Everyone tried to talk her down, but they couldn't. And Lisa Snart pulled the trigger, trying to murder the Flash, except the gun backfired, throwing her back, freeing the Flash, and in an instant, he finished off all of the rogues. When he tried to dismantle the gun, he must have caused a short circuit, and if he hadn't, he would have been dead. Captain Cold told the Flash that what he was doing was for himself, not the people. But the truth is, yes, he does it for himself. Because giving the people of Central City an opportunity for justice brings a smile to the Flash's face. The fact that Cold thinks that that is selfish says more about Cold than Flash.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready
For those
yet.
of you who don't know, over the last year we were introduced to Wally West from the New 52. The man that he thought to be his uncle was actually his father, Daniel West. But to make the situation even more confusing for poor Wally, his father was the Reverse Flash. He was placed into Iron Heights just as Wally was gaining his own speed powers. He is only reminded of this when he wakes up from a dream where he came face to face with Daniel. After a brief breakfast with Barry's father, Iris, and himself, Wally is obviously disturbed, not knowing anything that's going on, and he runs off. Before vanishing, Daniel told Wally that he was trying to pay for his crimes as the Reverse Flash. But Barry and Iris knew that Daniel was the killer, and he wouldn't change. He told them so. So Barry decided once he changed into the Flash costume that maybe it was a good day for Wally to go and see Daniel again at Iron Heights, as no one has seen or heard from Daniel ever since Wally went there the last time. But Wally informs Flash that Daniel was actually moved to Louisiana during that whole situation where the Flash was dealing with the rogues. And Flash knows what this means. Belle Reve. With a crack of lightning and thunder, Flash and Kid Flash make their way out there. All around the grounds in the pouring rain are dozens of guards. And if you're a Flash and you want to get in undetected, that's perfect. With each bolt of lightning, our heroes move into the prison, and they enter deeper still. Wally notices the whole place looks like Guantanamo Bay, not a simple prison. Why would Daniel be here? He begins to panic, which causes him to run more and the guards to find him. Barry hits top speed, running around the guards in their battle suits, dismantling the suits, leaving a bunch of men in their underwear. And as more guards arrive, someone yells, "Stop!" with the commanding voice of a person that you don't want to cross. Barry and Wally see Amanda Waller, and she asks what is he doing there. Barry approaches her asking where Daniel West is, and she sternly tells him that they have no record of a Daniel West. Wally yells out that he has proof, and she tells him that no matter what he has, there's no one here. Also, if they don't leave right away, she'll make room for a breaking and entering speedster. Barry grabs Wally by the arm and they leave the area. Wally demands that they go back and they find Daniel, but Barry explains that he has a better idea. If Daniel was ever in Belle Reve, then he knows someone who might have an answer. And they run off to the Australian outback and Digger Harkness. He's gotten himself into another bar fight, except he quickly cuts apart the men trying to beat him with his razor-sharp boomerangs. Then, as he's about to cut a guy's throat, there's a whoosh, and the boomerang is lifted out of the air. Should've known he'd be in trouble, Digger. And the men then jump on Digger as he tells the Flash, "Hey, Flasher, good to see you, mate." He begins to fight back, asking who the wee bit is. But as Barry debates if he really wants to help Digger, a net is thrown over them, and all three of them are captured for entering the Weaver clan's web. Quickly, all three of them are tied to a post to hold them in place. Captain Boomerang asks Flash why he isn't leaving, and he explains that this Weaver's web is weird, as electricity has its own vibration. So Captain Boomerang has another plan, an offer. The leader walks over wanting to know what Boomerang could possibly have for him, and he tells him, why not sell the gun that was able to kill the Flash? The boss thinks about it, and then he sucker punches Digger. I like your idea, so the Flash will run with you. And if you don't, Flash, we'll show your little sidekick how sharp Digger's boomerangs can really be. With a whoosh, Flash and Digger hit the ground running as they open fire with their firepower trying to hit the Flash. But while they try to shoot at the fastest man alive, Wally informs them that the webs that held the Flash in place only did so because he was trying to vibrate. But you see, when Wally tries to do that, he blows up. So he blows up the bindings holding him and he begins to drop each one of the thugs shooting at the Flash. Wally grabs a boomerang and throws it, slicing through the guns, and then he bounces it all over, distracting the men with the guns, allowing him to drop each of them. With the mess complete and the night coming upon them, our heroes and one villain stop to talk. And Wally asks the question, what happened to Daniel West? Boomerang shrugs it off. Don't know what you're talking about, kid. He's my dad. And that, right there, causes Digger to stop. No lie, I just want the truth. Oh, bugger. He pulls off his hat and he tells him, here's how it went down. The Suicide Squad was sent on a mission to stop the League of Assassins outside of Turkey when it all went kind of sideways. There was a bomb that could kill a lot of kids. West decided that he couldn't let that stand, and he went back to get the bomb and throw it into the ocean. He saved a lot of people, but he wasn't fast enough. That's the truth. Your old man died a hero. Sorry, kid. Wally runs off and Barry turns to Digger. Digger, I never expected a thanks, Flash. Go after the kid. So Barry chases him back down and Wally shouts to him, you knew, didn't you? I didn't know for sure. When we went to Belle Reve, that's what you were worried about, that he was sent on some Suicide Squad. And Barry tries to tell Wally to come back with him. They can talk about it at home. But Wally is confused. He's angry. He's hurt that his father couldn't just tell him the truth, that he was his father. Did he not want to be Wally's father? So Barry finally decides that it's time and he removes his cowl, telling Wally that there is nothing wrong with him. Wally's eyes light up as he finally sees the truth about the Flash's secret identity, that he is in fact Barry Allen. Barry explains that Eobard Thawne, his own Reverse Flash, went back in time and murdered his mother. He then lets Wally take all of that in, and Wally asks him, does Iris know? Barry explains that he keeps his identity secret for fear of his enemies finding out and harming those that he loves. Wally turns off to look into the desert. You're a liar. If you cared about Iris, you'd have told her a long time ago, Barry. Just like my dad lied to me. And then he runs off, leaving Barry to think about that. Meanwhile, over in Iron Heights, there is a man, a prisoner, so dangerous that he is left in a full-body suit. A suit that limits his movement, but not in a normal way. This suit doesn't allow him to move even a fraction of an angstorm, the smallest unit of measurement in the world. In this prisoner's cell, there's a crack and a boom, and lightning shoots across the cell and dances across the floor, because someone has just been freed. Someone that has ruined Barry Allen's life. Someone named Eobard Thawne. With the Speed Force swirling around him, he smiles a sinister grin. I remember the Batman. Thomas Wayne killed me in Flashpoint. I should teach his son a lesson.
I need to get closer.
Iris West is sitting at a table taking small notes as a woman explains that Godspeed took her son from her. He did such a large amount of damage to the body that they couldn't even have an open casket. She explains that Kyle was a dumb kid. He didn't ask to gain those powers from the Speed Force storm, and now his body is stolen. Iris pauses. Stolen? Yes, the cops didn't tell me anything about it, but they say that it's a part of an ongoing investigation. Iris explains that that is because that's what they say when they're worried that the facts of that case could tip off the guilty party. The woman turns to her. Do you have any kids? I take care of my nephew. If this happened to your nephew, wouldn't you want answers? Iris left the house thinking about that, and it brought her to the grave of Kyle, and then to the other surviving families. Someone's been going around stealing the bodies of the victims of Godspeed. Luckily, she knows someone who works in the CCPD. Barry Allen runs into his office to have a seat just as Iris walks in. In her hands is a cup of coffee, and then she hands it to him and he chuckles. You know, before we were dating, you used to bring me coffee when you wanted a story. Iris smiles. It's the Godspeed victims. The bodies are missing and I was hoping to find out what the CCPD knows. Barry smiles back. I would love to help, but it seems like you know as much as the CCPD. Iris leans against his desk. Well, there's one person unaccounted for who you knew a bit more closely. Mina. She was murdered in the Star Labs Speed Force Training Center by Godspeed. And you two were, well, close. Barry looks away from her, so Iris jumps in quickly. Look, Barry, if I'm crossing the line here, I'm sorry. No, it's okay, Iris. Mina's body was donated to Star Labs along with her speed suit. That's what she wanted. Anything else is confidential. So Iris tells him thank you and leaves after kissing him on the forehead. This isn't the end of the investigation, though. Iris needs to go see if Mina's body is there. So she decides to go to Star Labs secretly. But the moment that she walks into the Speed Force training facility, she sees dust, cobwebs, and everything untouched. Until someone finds her there, telling her that she isn't supposed to be in there. This makes Iris's reporter sense tingle, and she looks around the woman stopping her to see something that she never thought she'd see. Black hole operating again out of Star Labs. And they're moving caskets around with the missing bodies. The woman tries to stop Iris, but she flips her over her shoulder and knocks her out. She then grabs the black hole suit and helmet as the guards walk over from hearing the noise. The doctor who came to check on her is named Dr. Husk, and he asks if she's okay, thinking that Iris is a Dr. Holt, the woman who was over here and was trying to stop Iris. Iris pretends to be her and tells him that she's fine. So he asks if she did the data wipe, because they can't have anyone accessing Mina's data. They talk about the last situation where the Flash stopped Dr. Carver, so Iris asks if they're going to go free Dr. Carver from Iron Heights. Husk tells her no, but no one really cares about the Godspeed victims, so they can run as many tests on them as they please. It's a good thing that they have a friend in Star Labs to allow for this. And Iris slips, asking, "Who?" Husk turns over to her, looking at her mask closely. "What do you mean, who?" Meanwhile, outside, the Flash is en route, because he realized that if you tell Iris where the body is, she's going to investigate. So maybe the Flash should run in and see what's going on. But as the Flash arrives, a bunch of the devices launch out of the ground and into his shin, shocking him with Speed Force energy, dropping him right there. Husk sees his win and he turns to Iris, thinking that she's Holt, with no time to verify that it is actually her, and he tells her, "Be a dear and finish off the Flash with a black hole gun." Well, of course she doesn't shoot the Flash, as she shoots the gun at Husk, blasting his controller in his hand, the one that controls the devices in the Flash's shin. So the Flash removes them and ties up all of the black hole agents and stops Husk. He takes off, allowing the police to arrive on the scene as Iris directs them where they need to be, and then he returns as Barry Allen. But the other police officers comment how it's weird that Barry even showed up. He had the night off, but here he is. Iris begins to wonder, why would Barry lie about that to her? Is there something that he's hiding? And she also wonders, who was the person helping Black Hole from Star Labs? Meanwhile, at the Black Hole's central facility, we see that person. Someone that went missing. Someone that Barry Allen assumed had to be alive because he never found a body. Mina. She's the Black Hole operative. Tale begins with a hockey game. The final minute of a match between the Gotham Blades and the Metropolis Mammoths. In an Arkham Asylum, a blonde-haired inmate starts to put something together in her mind. She cries out, panicking, "They're going to kill him!" She turns to her fellow inmates and she grabs her head. "Stop it! Stop it! I can't stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Can't you see? Superman won't come! Our friends will die! The Legion will die! No one will stop it! No one will save us!" And then we fade away from Saturn Girl. Deep in the Batcave, Batman stares at an enormous series of monitors, each with a view of the butt, and he watches the hockey game. He twirls it between his fingers as he watches the puck hit the ground, and two of the players begin to fistfight. They have a history, the announcers say. This was in the making, the audience says. But neither man is giving up ground, and they hit each other so hard that one man hits the ground and everyone begs for him to stop. The fight is over. As they pull one man off of another, Batman turns off the television and he throws the button over to the table. The one where he's been keeping the Psycho Pirate's mask ever since he got it from the man himself. The two land next to each other, and there's a slight spark and a faint noise. Batman turns to see what's going on, and the button sends out a current of lightning that hits Batman in the chest, throwing him back. He looks up to see another Batman, a man from another time, a man from the Flashpoint event called Thomas Wayne. Thomas looks down at his son and he calls out, "Bruce?" And in response to that, Bruce reaches out, "Father?" And then Thomas Wayne fades from the vision of the Dark Knight. So he calls up a friend. "Flash, something's happened with the button. Can you come over here?" And Flash tells him that he's a bit caught up with about 37 samurais attacking him. So give him 1 minute and it'll be there. Then Batman hears the telltale crack of a speedster's lightning. "You said 1 minute, Flash. Of all people, I never expected you to be early." "Flash? No." And then the reverse Flash punches Batman.
That's still recharging. I'm out of range. It's too far away. I'm out of range.
Into the ground. Quite the reverse, actually. With 56 seconds until the Flash arrives, Reverse Flash begins to talk. My name is Eobard Thawne, and I've been dead for quite some time. I should be dead for quite some more time. And then with 53 seconds left, he stomps over at the button on the ground. But a power, it awoke me. It called out to me, for me, and I am resurrected. Batman leaps at him, but he vibrates, letting Batman hit the floor. Oh, you wanna fight some more? At second 47, Reverse Flash cracks Batman with a right, and then a left, and then an uppercut. At 46 seconds remaining, he throws another left and then a right. And then at 45 seconds remaining, he hits Batman across the face. With 44 seconds remaining, he grabs him. You're still alive? How fun! He begins to run around the Batcave, throwing Batman into the trophies and devices that he has around, until he finally comes to the letter that his father gave him from Flashpoint, with 37 seconds remaining. He tears it up with Batman calling out, "No!" And then he throws it in the air like confetti. Oh yes! And now we have 29 seconds remaining until the Flash arrives. Reverse Flash begins to vibrate, making it so that Batman can't do anything to him. And Batman tells him, "There's one thing I know about speedsters. To blur, you have to be touching something on the ground." And he drives a batarang into Reverse Flash's foot, pinning him there. At 22 seconds remaining, Batman gets up for round two, punching with a right and then a left, and Reverse Flash sonic claps him into his monitors. You have to know, you can't win! Batman wipes the blood from his face. Oh, I know, but I don't need to win. I just need 11 seconds. At the 10-second mark, Reverse Flash runs in, punching Batman over and over, and Batman even manages to get a shot in himself, so Reverse Flash pins him to the ground, pummeling him, and then he lifts him up. Batman looks him in the eyes. One. And nothing happens. I guess overtime. Reverse Flash knocks Batman out and stands over him. Pathetic. He slowly walks over to the button and he picks it up and he vanishes. He then returns moments later with a blue fire burning on him. God! He falls to his knees. I saw God! And he dies. That's when the Flash runs in, apologizing for being late. He tried to save the hockey player who was beat, but he was too late. And then he looks down to see the dead Reverse Flash and an unconscious Batman. Flash gets Batman up to his bed, where Alfred begins to take care of him, and he begins to go over the crime scene. The Reverse Flash is there as a skeleton, and he's trying to figure out what happened. Eventually, he realizes there's only one witness, so he goes to talk to Batman, and they decide to figure out what's going on. Batman tells him that Eobard said that he saw God. Flash tells Batman that he knows Thawne's vibrations, and there was something weird about them on his corpse. It's almost as if he traveled throughout space and time. How did he get back to the cave? Batman then explains that he put the button next to Psycho Pirate's mask and he saw something. A ghost of his father. They go over their notes. This all started the night that Wally West returned. Flash has also been seeing things such as Eobard Thawne and the Helmet of Mercury. The helmet apparently gave him hope. Batman asks Flash what he isn't telling him, and Flash tells him that he'll update him when he gets info. Within a short amount of time, Flash has made his way up to the Justice League Watchtower. It is here that they house all of the artifacts that they've come across. He thought back to the day that Wally returned from the Speed Force, and Wally told him that there was somebody watching them. He never saw who it was, but they're out there, and they're waiting to attack. Wally said that whoever this was more powerful than Darkseid. Flash runs over to a sheet, pulling it off, and there sits the Cosmic Treadmill, the tool that the Flash uses to travel through time, the thing that he swore that he would never use after he created the Flashpoint universe. But as he goes to get on it, Batman steps out of the shadows. This is my case too, Barry. Flash tries to tell him no, but of course, that doesn't work as Batman and the Flash get on the treadmill together. And he begins to run faster than light! All around them is a blinding white light as they begin to run through the time stream. Flash notices that things aren't right immediately. Around them are different timelines, separate from the one that they live in. Different outfits, altered histories, even timelines where individuals have died. And behind them is a time storm, which is getting closer and closer, and the Flash knows what this means. They can't get caught up in it or they won't even know where they land. He has to run faster, but he isn't fast enough as he gets hit by the storm with a full ka-kroom! Batman and Flash go flying off of the treadmill with Batman holding onto it with a batarang and the Flash zipping around trying to get back on. But the white light of time begins to close around them. It begins to swallow them up, and then the treadmill hits the ground, breaking into pieces. They both get up looking around, and Batman sees that this is his cave, but different, and the Flash realizes where they are. Batman sees the gun that killed his parents, and he sees a glass case. He lowers his cowl as he looks at it. How is it here? I never recovered it. And then Batman turns to see another Batman, his father. And Thomas Wayne turns to Bruce. I did this all because of you, son. Thomas continues. Everything I did because I wanted to save you. In the final fight, the Flash gave me hope for you, and I put my faith into him that you would be saved and I would die. And the nightmare of the Flashpoint universe would end. But something put this world on life support. The nightmare didn't stop. The war continued, the fights, the floods, the deaths of millions. I was a fool to think that I could do anything to save my son. And now, my enemies come for me. Wonder Woman and Aquaman finally agreed on something, and they both have sent their soldiers to put me down. I decided to take them with me. But now here you are, and this isn't real! He grabs Flash by the throat, but the Flash vibrates out of it, telling him, Dr. Wayne, please listen to me. Something went wrong. It's been months since I repaired the timeline, since I left and changed it all back. But there's something that has kept this universe around, and we are trying to follow its trail. How is it even possible? The Flash says, kneeling down to feel the vibrations. Flashpoint was never an alternate timeline, but an alternate history. It should no longer exist. It's being held in place like those visions that we saw on the time stream. I don't understand any of this, but I have to rebuild the Cosmic Treadmill. It should only take me a minute. And then Thomas Wayne looks at the stairs. We don't have a minute. Both Batmen drop their cowls and they jump into battle as the Flash rebuilds the treadmill. And as they complete the fight, the entire world begins to shake. It begins to fall apart. It's being let go of, finally. Bruce turns to his father. Your letter. It was the greatest gift that anyone's ever given to me. Bruce. After I read it, I knew I would never get a chance to respond. But if I did, there was one thing that I wanted to tell you above anything else. You're a grandfather. I have a son. Flash turns to them. Batman! The treadmill's at full power without me on it. We have to go, now! Bruce turns back to his father. Come with me, please. And Thomas turns back to him, throwing him onto the treadmill with the Flash. The universe around them begins to fade away into the time stream. Flash, you promised me that you would save my son. Now do it! Thomas calls out. Bruce tries to fight against him. Barry, let me go! But Thomas looks at them as they begin to fade away into the time stream. You were my world, son. I delivered you myself, and the moment that I saw you, I know that every choice that I've ever made has been for the right reasons, because they led to you. You're the greatest gift that this life has ever given to me, and there is more that I should have shared with you in that letter. So listen to me. Don't be Batman. Find happiness. Please don't do this. Don't do it for me. Don't do it for your mother. Be a father in the way that I never could for you. Let the Batman die with me. Bruce calls out, we can save you! And then krakoom! They all vanish. Thomas stares at the dust cloud where they once were. You have. He throws the trigger to the bombs in the Batcave aside and he drops his cowl. And then he turns to the white light. Waynes never stay down. We rise! And he fades into oblivion. As Batman and Flash begin to run through the time stream again, Batman tries to convince Flash to turn around, but the Flash turns to him. There's nothing to return to. That world is gone. So Batman asks the next question. The button came to the cave. Why did it bring us to the Flashpoint universe? And behind them is the Reverse Flash running past them. Coming through, Flash! How on earth did you get ahead of me? Let alone find me? Batman and the Flash are shocked, but Batman sees Thawne holding the button and he tells Flash, he's holding the button. This is before he runs off and dies. So Flash calls out, stop! Stop or you'll die, Thawne! And Thawne shouts back, I know where this button comes from, Flash, and they've never faced someone like me! And he continues to barrel on into the time stream. Flash calls out, Thawne, I've seen your future. You're going to die if you keep going. My future, Barry? Like the day that you broke my neck? Or the day that you watched Batman's father slide a sword in my back? Empty threats to a living paradox. There is no future. There is no past. Then a big bolt of lightning hits between them. And as the Flash calls out to Thawne again, he feels another force. Barry, I'm here. Batman asks him, did you hear that? And Flash tells him, it's nothing. It's the time stream calling out to you. Thawne turns back to the two of them. I have an idea, Barry. Once I have this power, I'll go back and make you my son. I'll become a social worker and raise you. Make you my acolyte. And at that moment, the treadmill begins to fall apart and fall to pieces. Batman tells Flash, we need to land somewhere, Barry. And the Flash tells him, I have to catch Thawne. And Thawne gives the grin of the psychotic reverse Flash. Like always, you're too late, Barry. I'm here. Your life is about to be undone. He arrives alone in open space with nothing but the ground and the person in front of him waiting. He looks down at the button, pulsing with power. Hello, you don't have to be shy now. I can feel your presence, like a wave of static electricity. It's powerful. I'll admit to the fact that I've never encountered anything quite like this. You've done such strange things to the timeline, things that I won't begin to question, and you've remained hidden from all of them. But I'm not like them. My existence is the only constant in a sea of possibilities. I cannot be erased by anyone, by you. Show yourself! Thawne looks up, and he sees the blue light, and it begins to swirl around him, and he realizes his mistake. My God, wait, I didn't know! The blue light touches him, and it begins to pull him apart at the seams. Please, I don't want to die! But before he can even finish his sentence, he's pulled apart and turned into the skeleton from the start of our story. Meanwhile, Batman and Flash hear the scream from Thawne, and they're tumbling through the time stream. But Flash hears another voice. Barry, I'm here. Flash and Batman begin to fall out of time and space itself. Flash grabs onto the treadmill for his life, and Batman is clinging on, hoping that the Flash has the answer. And both of them hear that voice again. Barry. Batman looks at him. Barry, listen to that voice. Grab onto it. Bruce, we don't know where it'll take us. We don't have a choice. The voice calls out again. Right here. Say my name. Say Jay. Flash is confused. Jay? And cracoom! A speedster's lightning flies through the time stream as Jay Garrick arrives on the scene. At last, I'm free! He leaps in front of both of our heroes, grabbing them, trying to run them through the time stream. He screams out as the time and space streams around him are trying to absorb him, Flash, and Batman. And when he finally gets his footing, he's off! Hang on! Power enough to get you! And then he throws them out of the time stream. Home! Cracoom! The echoes of a speedster's lightning ring throughout the Batcave as Batman and Flash have arrived. Flash turns to Jay and asks him, who are you? Did you kill Thawne? What do you want with us? Jay struggles because, like Wally, the Speed Force is pulling at him, trying to return him back to where it was hiding him. I didn't kill anyone, Barry. He stands with smoke and lightning flowing off of him. My name is Jay Garrick. I'm your friend, a Flash. Listen to me. I need you to remember. If you remember me like you did Wally. Barry thinks hard, and a sad look begins to grow on his face. He told me I forget things. People. Someone did this. Do you know who it was? And then the time stream begins to reabsorb Jay. They took everything from me, Barry. I don't know how, and I don't know why. Barry reaches his arm out. What is your name? What was it again? And then cracoom! A giant bolt of blue lightning reaches out and grabs Jay, removing him from the timeline again. Smoke swirls on the floor of the Batcave, and the Flash helps Batman up. The man said that he knew me, the same way that Wally did, but he's not here. Maybe he's from another timeline. Maybe I wasn't the lightning rod that he needed to stay grounded. The next day, Bruce and Barry stand in front of the grave of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Barry asks him, I wonder if all of this was Thawne's doing. Time rupturing, changing, people fading in and out of reality, like your father and that other Flash. He died. But maybe his death is what triggered all of this. Maybe there's no one else to chase. I appreciate you trying to close the case, Barry, but it's far from closed. So what? Our primary suspect is God? For now, that's all we have. The two of them walk away from this. For now. And off in space, something with blue light is watching over the planet. But back in Wayne Manor, Bruce is looking out the window, thinking about what his father told him. Don't be Batman. Find happiness. The bat signal shines in the sky, and he remembers the next words. Let Batman die with me. Alfred walks over to see Bruce looking into the sky at the signal. Sir, aren't you going to answer that? Bruce looks, and then he hangs his head low. And out in a time and place unknown to us, the button is sitting on the ground as the blue light draws closer to it, and we see the blue hand of Dr. Manhattan reach down and pick it up. Why does my perception of time distress you? Everything is preordained, even my responses. We're all puppets, Lori. I'm just a puppet who can see the strings.
Welcome to the 25th century and the Flash Museum. Around you is the museum featuring many of the Flash's enemies and friends on display for the world to see. On the left, you'll see Godspeed's uniform, and then Kid Flashes, and then multiple Flash suits, along with a montage of the Justice League and the Flash. Normally, the museum is full of Flash's adoring fans, those who yearn to know the Flash in a way that we do. But I felt like you deserved a private tour. And for our first history lesson, let me tell you about a man that I know quite well. Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom. He was many things to many people, but to the Flash, he was his ally, his partner, his best friend. And this is his story. Back in our current day, Barry Allen stands over the body of the Reverse Flash. Recently, Barry went on a time-traveling adventure with Batman to discover the mastermind behind all of the DC Rebirth timeline stuff. They failed to find the culprit, but in their adventure, Reverse Flash was murdered. We'll link that story down below. And in front of him, Barry is trying to figure out what happened. How did the Reverse Flash die? The doctors walk into the room and Barry walks out. But there's something funny about the Reverse Flash. You see, he's time traveled so much that he is a living paradox. To actually kill him, well, it's near impossible. And that's when a spark of life begins to form in his eye socket. But for Barry, he's been so absorbed that he's missing a key moment of his life. His birthday. And as Iris drags him to all of his friends, they shout, "Happy birthday!" Everyone is cheering for Barry, but he can't help but think about everything that is going on. He traveled through time with Batman, and it wasn't exactly just an excellent adventure. There was so much more happening. Like the appearance of another speedster, one that seemingly saved Barry and Bruce. The man with a weird tin helmet, and he knew Barry, but Barry couldn't think of his name. Whoever he was, he had been removed from the timeline. Or Thomas Wayne's final words to Bruce, where he told him to give up being Batman. Those words now haunt Bruce. Barry looks over at Wally and sees that he's still ignoring him, because before all of this, he told Wally his identity. But Wally was mad that Barry hadn't told Iris. Barry then glances at Iris and he thinks about it. He told himself that he wouldn't tell her to keep her safe. That's not really the reason. She's the greatest woman that he knows, and he didn't want to lose her. He then pictures Reverse Flash coming in. Lose her to Thawne. Eobard is faster than both Flash and Kid Flash, and in a blink of an eye, Barry would be powerless to watch as Reverse Flash murdered everyone that he knows. But then he snaps out of it. Is his fear of losing everyone what is keeping him from telling Iris everything? Everyone continues talking about new houses, new lives, new jobs. The world is moving around Barry faster than he even realizes, and he seems lost in his own thoughts. Iris walks over smiling at him. Don't go doing one of your disappearing acts, Barry Allen. And then, something unexpected happens. Hal Jordan walks over. Looks like I'm right on time. He smiles at his oldest friend. He hands Barry a box with a plane in it, and Barry tells him, "Great gift. I loved it when I gave it to you 2 years ago, Hal." Hal looks around apologetic. "Well, I haven't been home in a while. Are you sure you gave that to me?" "It's been too long, Hal. It's just good to see you." Hal Jordan left the planet a long time ago to go on a crazy space adventure saving the entire galaxy, and I'll link that entire playlist to you down below. Hal smiles at Iris as she walks over. "And who is this lovely lady, Barry?" So Barry introduces his girlfriend, Iris West, but she pulls Barry aside for a moment after shaking Hal's hand. She looks at him.
Okay.
"You aren't off the hook
Gonna
because of
take a break,
Flyboy
maybe
there.
do that.
Where are you,
Take a
Barry?
nap.
We're all here